Hello, ladies and gentlemen of SeemsGoodMagic.com. This is Travis Sowers. I can't pull off that serious voice for very long. We're going to do another one of these cube leagues. I'm really enjoying these. I got to, on stream yesterday, I ended up drafting a mono-red aggro deck and played 2 mono-red mirrors. And that's just something I've never been able to experience in Cube before. It's different, and I know there's a lot of people that like Cube that wouldn't like that can happen, but like we both had turn 1 Stromkirk Nobles. It's like, huh, this is a whole different experience. So I'm digging the Cube Leagues. I'm probably gonna fire on these until they're gone. There will be one more video after this one of a Cube League. And I want to go ahead and warn the viewers, because I know the time the next video comes up, you're going to be wanting Kaladesh, and I want to give you Kaladesh, but we are actually moving on the weekend that Kaladesh is being pre-released. So there's a streamer showdown. Make sure you're ready for that. That's on October 7th. I'll be doing one of the first Kaladesh drafts that you can actually watch. And if you want to see that video, you can go watch it basically anytime you like. After that, it'll be in the recordings, and I'll have it labeled there. You just go to the Twitch profile at twitch.tv/Simulan, and you can watch me draft Kaladesh against other streamers. The video for next week, though, that's going to come out is going to need to be another cube, because I'll have to record it on the Thursday before that Friday, and that Friday is when Kaladesh comes out. So I can't record Kaladesh. I can't do it after the showdown, because then we got to get packed up, and I can't do it that weekend because we're going to be moving and unpacking. So I said all that to say, I'm really sorry, but we're going to have one more cube, and then it's all Kaladesh all the time until we get tired of Kaladesh and we're doing cube again. So hope you like the cube, because you're going to be seeing some more of it. But I really like the cube. And like I said, if you're dying for the Kaladesh content, do come by and check out the stream, either live if you can, or on the replays, because they're by the time the video goes live, I will probably be streaming Kaladesh that day anyway, so there'll be plenty of it for you to go and watch if you need to see it right now. So there's my longest intro ever, and we'll pause this until we got 8 folks. All right, looks like we are in. I'm not sure about our first pick here. Looks like, there we go. I was like, that's kind of a disappointing pack if you open a pack with just no cards in it. And giant preview window for fun. So as you know, I've drafted mono white a couple times, and I like mono white. That I'm not necessarily going to try to force it, but we'll see what we get here. So what have we got for cards that lead us in interesting directions? Not a lot here. There's a Sower of Temptation, which is a very powerful card. Jace is a very powerful card. Xenagos can be interesting in a ramp strategy. I'd probably take a fetch land over any of these cards. We could look at doing something aggressive with Bob. Maybe try to build around a Pyromancer, but like the most objectively powerful card seems to be either Jace or the Sower. I have not yet managed to find myself in a blue-based control deck, which I'd assume you can do. And I like trying to do like Splinter Twin combo and that sort of thing too. I think Sower of Temptation is probably just the best card. And we'll kind of start here. It doesn't lock us into blue or anything else, but it's just a strong card to first pick. If I'd taken the Pyromancer, that thing in the ice is looking pretty good here. Since I didn't, here we are. Geist of St. Traft, if I want to do something aggressive, like try to attack them with this and back it up with maybe some counter spells and Swords to Plowshares. We could, I'd say we could leave ourselves out to be blue-red, but there's really not a pick here for that. I guess Thing Wheel the Pyromancer, but somebody will grab that. There's no blue fetches. There's a Scrubland, which is reasonable to take, because sometimes you'll end up in Esper. They're being very early and not really knowing exactly what we're doing. Like, I'm torn between Geist. Wall of Omens would be better in control. Future Sight would be better in ramp. I'm going to take the Geist. I like to end games, and that will certainly do it. So this doesn't mean we're blue-white. It just means we're kind of thinking about it. We're thinking about it. Well, now we're Esper, or at least blue. Because Ashiok is one of the most powerful cards in the cube. I don't know that it's the most powerful card, but it's on the list. It's on the list. Bitter Blossom is also very strong. I have a tendency to want to go black-white tokens anyway. I just like that play style when I'm doing something close to constructed. We've got our old buddy, the Marshall Coupe. But we're going to grab Ashiok, and that leaves us open to blue-black. Obviously, the card's blue and black. But also, we could do Esper shenanigans. Like, Ashiok and Geist of St. Traft don't really go in the same deck. But they can. It attacks on a different angle, and I ain't passing it. It kind of makes me wish I'd picked up the scrub land. But I ain't no scrub. I don't know what you're talking about. It's a good sign that we're getting past that. Again, I think this card is very powerful. Just sit behind it, and people argue about Planeswalkers not being able to defend themselves. The cube is really closer to constructed than limited, and them not being able to defend themselves doesn't really matter in constructed because you're going to have like good creatures in your deck, right? Right? And this one, like, she starts at such a high loyalty anyway, or he or she, I'm not really exactly sure what Ashiok is. They start at such a high loyalty that, like, just ticking it up is pseudo defense. And then if they don't interact with it, you can defend it with one of their dudes. Ashiok's great. Okay, so here's another point of contention. We can take, basically the cards that I'm looking at here are Cryptic Command versus Pestermite. So Pestermite's way better if we get the combo. Cryptic Command's way better if we don't. Like, this basically does, it's not just nothing as a 2/1 flyer, but it's not super exciting. I do like Rabble Master too, but that's not what we're doing. That's not what we're doing. I think I want to take the Pestermite and see if we get combo shenanigans. Because if we do, I can pick up, like, we can splash Ashiok or just cut Ashiok and play blue-red if we need to. We're still very early, and, like, people are aware that they passed this, and the people that are looking for it are aware that I didn't pass it. I got to start taking lands soon. Remind me to take lands. All right, so what if we did some America thing? Like red, white, blue, shenaniganery. It means I can't play the Ashiok, which I really want to. We could also look at not green. The reason I'm thinking about that is that Johnny Vengeance is not only a cat, it's a very powerful card. It's 4-mana, kill a thing, get some abilities, and like the ultimate is relevant here. If we're gonna spec, I'll spec here and say we're probably gonna play one of these two Planeswalkers, but not both. And I'm gonna have to pick up some mana fixing. But like playing Geist and a Johnny and some burn spells in a deck is a thing. I'm sort of straddling two archetypes, but that's fine. This is usually why I take lands very early. I don't think I've passed a fetch, but I'm kind of really intensely looking at non-green lands right now. That said, there's a green land here. There's also Flame Slash, which is very good. I think if I just move the Ashiok out and look at red, white, and blue, or blue, white, and red if you're French, maybe we can do something here. Because I don't really want a Gorger. This kills a lot of stuff. Yeah, I think this is what we're doing. It might not be. Still with the green lands. Always the green lands. None of these cards are particularly amazing for us. There is some mana fixing, and if we're comboing, I'll play a City of Brass. It's scary to play this card in this particular iteration of the cube because the mono red deck is real. Like, they lost Sulfuric Vortex, but it's still very strong. Still very strong. I may just take Revoker. It's something to do on turn 2. It's fine against the burn decks because you can trade it with their Grizzly Bears. It's easy on the mana, and it can randomly futz with our opponent's Planeswalkers. And like, we've settled into, I think, 3-color not green. Well, this is another one where I can't really get away with the Spectral Procession. I don't think I'm going to be able to play a Wasteland, but I might. Like, our mana is nowhere good enough to do that currently. And Seal of Fire is mostly a shock that you want to feed your Termagoyf. I guess that's what we're supposed to be doing with it in the cube. I'm just going to take Wasteland. If somebody's got an annoying land, maybe we can sideboard it in. Okay, the Fumarole Wield. So did the Pyromancer and the Forked Bolt. Pyromancer would be very good if my dreams come true. Does that mean I'm supposed to, or hell, we could take a Symbol of Legion if we want to be a control deck, and there's your finisher. This is where we've got to really decide what we're doing. Are we going to try to aggro them out, or are we going to try to assemble legions and kill that way? I think whatever we're doing, we're going to have good mana, and I have to take the man land, even though I would like all of these cards. There's no excuse to have bad mana in Cube. Like, you're just doing it wrong if you have bad mana in Cube. There's so many duels and fetches and all the things that you should just take them. Thing in the Ice currently doesn't go in our deck, but that's not to say it wouldn't. So here's another shot for us to grab a man land for the colors it looks like we're doing. So I'm going to grab Needle Spires pretty happily. I'm not as interested in it as a man land as I am a dual land, but I mean, that still works. Wheeled Plateau. Rabble Master would go good, I think, in what we're trying to do, which is like prevent a single card that must be answered. But better than casting the Rabble Master is being able to cast all the other things. So like, now that I've taken this Plateau, the only real thing we're missing is like a fetch. And I'll play a Pillar of Flame. Don't think I won't. Gorger, probably not. Like, what I want to do is present one threat that can win the game on its own. Geist of St. Traft can do that. Planeswalkers can do that. We'll look to pick up some more if we can. Sower of Temptation can when they steal their dude. And Pestermite can if we can combo it off. So adding an Ahiri to this deck is an interesting component. We can certainly play it. Preordain would be very good for us. Glendalindra would be good. We might can wheel the Reflector Mage. I don't think we want the Trop. Sillygar's very good, and Spellskite would be very good. So she's going to let us loot through our deck, get rid of enchantments, artifacts. If we alter and do have the combo pieces, we can go find them. It kind of gives me an excuse to jam an Emrakul in this deck if we see one. The responsible pick is probably the Preordain, though. Like, there's plenty of powerful finishers. There's not a lot of one mana derp around cards. Glendalindra's very, very strong too. But I think I take this, and then any of these cards that wheel we're pretty happy about. Like, if we skip Glendalindra, we would play Siege Gang, we would play Nahiri, Whirler Rogue would make it in, Reflector Mage, Spellskite all would. So I'm just going to take the cheap interactive card. You can win a lot of games doing that. Batterskull is something I may go for over a Lightning Strike, because this is another, you land this, it's really hard for your opponent to win, and it's very difficult for them to interact with. I don't want to play like a lot of 5-drops, but like this or a Frost Titan is probably exactly what we're looking for, or an Inferno Titan would be fine too. All green lands, which is not really what we're looking for, and again, I think I'd play a Lightning Strike. Toxic Deluge is very strong too. Elish is an interesting finisher, but like we're not really doing that. So I think Batterskull is just kind of what we're looking for. Right now we're just kind of red blue splashing for a Geist and a Johnny. Well, there's a Shelldock Isle. I'm probably not passing that. Certainly not out of this pack. Not a whole lot here, and this card's just busted. This looks like a card that's just okay in cubes, and a lot of people consistently underrate it. But when your deck starts with 40 cards and both players are usually drawing a lot of cards in cube, it's not difficult to get to one player's library having 20. So I'm a big fan of Shelldock Isle. We have not seen the combo pieces for the Pestermite, so we're kind of going to need to pick that up quickly or just resign ourselves to not having it. Well, now here's another moment of truth, because Gideon is a card that can end a game on its own, and if we're doing Super Friends, I need to take the Super Friends. This is a quad fixer for us, though. And frankly, if I'm going to play double white in this deck, I would probably rather have the fixing than this guy. People take Planeswalkers earlier than they should. And Gideon is kind of nuts, but if I'm passing Scalding Tarn in this deck, I've got to be doing it wrong. Mimic Vat can be quite fun. Phyrexian Metamorph can be quite fun. I think I have to take the Zealous Conscripts, though, and keep the Dream alive. Because it's another card that would combo with any of the effects that combo with Pestermite. Can also nab a Planeswalker. It's just a very good card. I think I want that, but we would have been happy with either of the other two of those. Seeing it's a good sign, it means it's unlikely that anybody's going for what we're going for. Storm Breath is a fine, like, I can win the game with this card. Selfless Spirit's kind of not what I'm looking for. Stratus Dancer's kind of not what I'm looking for. It does give us our first instance of counter magic, which we don't have. But like when your blue deck plays a morph, everybody knows what it is. I don't think Rift Bolt's what we're looking for either. I think I'm going to take the Storm Breath, and hopefully we don't need to play this as a finisher, but we might. Right here we've got a Reveler, which I think we would probably play. A Probe, which we would play, but this Volcanic Island just means I've got stupid good mana, and I don't have to worry about mana at all anymore. We're done. Alright, so Soulfire Grandmaster, if he's going to be good, should be good in this deck, right? Like, I guess it's fine on turn 2 because it can attack and block a little bit. Could pick up the Gargadon and try to go for an Armageddon. That'd be fun too. But I think I can take Soulfire Grandmaster. I wouldn't take it early, but we can take it here. If they don't interact, it'll at least be good against the red deck. If they don't interact with it, we're probably fine. So here's where we've got like a real decision. Parallax Wave is a strong card. It doesn't look like we're really doing much with it. Siege Gang Commander is kind of the same thing as the Storm Breath. I might just want to Spell Skite. It blocks, and if I do live the dream, we can get there. Let's take a Lightning Strike here. Stuff gets better with Soulfire. Serendib Efreet can win you a game. I haven't been crazy impressed with this card in this cube. Of course, I probably don't want 2 Goblin tokens either, so I guess we'll take it and say maybe. Maybe that's the thing we do. Don't know if Stoneforge Mystic is still in the cube, but if so, that would be a good thing to see. This seems like more of a modern cube than a legacy cube to me. All of the cards that combo well with the Beetleback Chief, and this is a lot of stuff. So I keep talking about these combo cards and we don't have any. I'm talking about things like Splinter Twin and Kiki Jiki, which is basically what we'd like to see for this deck to be really good. We can still win a game without that. So all I'm looking for now, we'll just tack some cards, are either those combo pieces or some card draw, and I think we're quite fine. And we've got enough playables over here to bring some stuff in. Like I'm happy playing a Chief or a Nefreet or even Thing in the Ice. We could play the Elixir as our kill condition if we need to. Alright, so combo pieces, first up, none. Alright. Finishers, not really. Kill conditions, not really. They took out the artifact that makes your Wake Thresher infinite. Something where it tapped for 3 mana and you had to pay 3 to untap it. So if you ever got that into play, this was basically an absurdly large creature. I'm kind of stuck between Solemn Simulacrum and Deep Analysis. The Analysis would be a little bit better if we play the Thing in the Ice. It gets you almost there to flipping it. I'm not sure that we're going to. The Simulacrum would play nicely with any blink effects, and again, the combo pieces we're looking for just get better with the Simulacrum. It also does help fix our mana and like cycles, but at 4 mana, sometimes it's a bit too late. But I guess if I'm going to pay 4 mana to draw 2 cards, this is probably the way to do it. Yeah, and I don't really want to play the Thing in the Ice currently. Alright, so Ralzeric is not the world's best Planeswalker. Does it combo with anything? I mean, I can untap a Pestermite. I'm not really sold that I wouldn't rather have Sarkhan, but there's a real limit to how many 5s I can play. Like, Negate looks good. Merfolk Looter looks good. Secure the Waste could be an interesting alternate win condition. I think ours mana is good enough that I could play the Factory. But you know what? I'm going to take Sarkhan. It's time for Sarkhan to come together. Like we said, we wanted we didn't say. You're probably yelling at your screen that I'm not drafting, white beats again. But I said I wanted cards that could win the game on their own, and Sarkin can. He can come down and kill a thing if you need him to kill a thing, and he can just kill your opponent if they're not able to interact with it. Burst Lightning's fine. Quarantine Field is fine, although we're not likely to be able to cast that. I think I've got enough 5s that we're not interested in a Baneslayer, although it's certainly better than a Stormbreath Dragon, I think. I can take a Clifftop Retreat. Probably just a Burst Lightning, I guess. It's a little bit better than a Pillar of Flame. This deck really wants a Snapcaster. Maybe I just want the Hangerback Walker. Maybe I just want the Hangerback Walker. We're a little vulnerable to artifact stuff. I could also look at Slagstorm. I think I'm going to take the Burst Lightning. It's just a better card. And at this point, the thing probably gets in here. Like, I think there's a strong chance we would just want to play this. Stagger Shock's fine. Seagate Oracle's fine. Seagate Oracle's a little better than fine. Dissolve is interesting. It gives us a counterspell, which we do not currently have. Like, we're playing, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instants and sorceries. That's not really enough for Thing in the Ice, but if I grab Dissolve, all of a sudden it's looking better. And I bet we're going to wheel some of these. Is this when you cast? Yeah, so Stagger Shock won't trigger it twice. I think I want access to a counterspell. That's not something I say often, but I think this is one I'm willing to go for. And I don't need to pick up these Buddy Lands because we've got great mana already. Elder Deep Friend is not really what I'm after. I don't think the Cunning Spark Mage is either. I think Izzet Charm may be what I'm after. We ended up, again, not comboing, which sucks, but isn't the end of the world. Yeah, if I pick up the Izzet Charm, we can use that to loot away bad hands, kill annoying creatures, counter spells, and I can probably play this Thing in the Ice and be pretty happy with it. I'm not playing enough for Delver to actually do a thing. Like, it looks like Delver would be good for this deck because we've got a lot of non-creatures, but they don't interact particularly well with Delver. So we're only playing, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Yeah, that's not enough for us to consistently flip that. It is enough for us to expect to do something with the Soulfire Grandmaster if the game goes late. I don't really love any of these cards. It's, do we want to take Avalanche Riders as a possible playable, or a Ratchet Bomb as a sideboard card against a token strategy? And I think I'm going to take the Ratchet Bomb. We ended up without a Wrath, which I think we would have played one of. Yeah, I think now that the draft is done and we can look back on it, I can safely say what we should have been doing was going for the Spells Matter blue-red deck instead of the combo blue-red deck. So it didn't quite end up where I wanted, but that's all right. That's all right. Linvala is a very strong card. I usually like her in the sideboard more than in the main, because we're not really playing that much white, but a double white card is hard to cast. It's not that hard, but it's hard. I mean, it's basically, do you want Roast or Arg Trail? I guess Roast. Flametongue Kavu is a good pickup for us. Did I not notice the upheaval before? I guess I wouldn't have wanted it anyway in this deck, because you kind of got to be blue-green to pull that off, but my goodness. If Sower of Temptation isn't one of the... Sower of Temptation's great, Consecrated Sphinx is great, Upheaval's great. Like, those are all cards I want to first pick. We just want a Flametongue Kavu here. Like, that's the type of card advantage that can make a deck like this win a game. Wake Thresher is a threat. It's just not the threat I'm looking for. We wheeled Rouse Eric. This is about where I would want to take him, and this can complete our deck. I can be happy with this. So we're basically... Oh, Slagstorm's a nice pickup. Just because we're playing so few creatures and some of them don't even get hit by it. Like it doesn't kill our Spellskite. It doesn't kill our Thing in the Ice. I may actually main deck this. We'll look through and see exactly what dies to it and what doesn't, and how much we care about that. Sulfur Falls, sure. Incinerate's also a nice pickup. We're just kind of getting hooked up here. So we've got a couple different options here. One is cut the white cards and move along with our life. I don't think I need to when we've got the Plateau, the Needle Spires, and a Scalding Tarn to go find them. So this gives me 3 free white sources, and the mana fixing is so good here that, like, by splashing white, I get a free man land, and I can probably run it off of just 1 plains for the cards we're running. It does mean that we're not super likely to hit the Soulfire Grandmaster early, so it means that this may be more of a sideboard card than a main deckable card. So how much of our stuff dies to Slagstorm? Let's make a little pile of those and then decide if we actually care. Because you can still do a lot of damage even if some of your deck dies to it. So as it turns out, most of our deck dies to Slagstorm. So I think I want this as a sideboard card against an aggressive deck. So if they're playing a bunch of 2/2s, that's fine. I don't really care if mine live. Like, we're planning to win the game with these Planeswalkers. Probably not Rao. We're just going to use him as a removal spell and then maybe get some more value. But we're going to try to win here, here, and here. I don't love the Pestermite. It kind of makes our opponent live in fear of what we're going to do with it, but we're not going to do anything with it. So, like, if I want a card that can just kill somebody, Wake Thresher will do that. It does it on the ground, and it dies to anything and it can't block. Yeah, I guess worst case scenario, Pestermite comes in, taps one of their things, and starts poking in for some damage. So I think I should probably cut a spell. So I've got all of these to potentially interact with Thing in the Ice, which I think is enough. I'm probably going to have to cut one of them. Pillar of Flame's probably the worst, but I still like it. But I'm kind of overloading on burn, aren't I? Yeah, without a Snapcaster, I probably don't want this. And I think this gives me good mana. I'm still not sure if this is too cute or not. It might be, because I want to have enough white to be able to hit the Geist and the Soulfire. Let's see what my mana looks like. I could easily take out the Geist and the Soulfire, put in the Pillar of Flame and the Slagstorm, and then just splash for Johnny and have a good deck. So let's see how rough my mana is going to get. So these are duels for my primary colors. So the real question is, can I get like 10 sources of red and blue and then still have some plains in here? So this would give me, let's see, I've got room for 10 lands. So I'm going to put this at 0 and just make this easy to count. So currently I've got 1, 2, let's count blue first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then for red, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this would leave me room for the 1 plains I was anticipating. And that's not really enough to reliably hit a 2-drop on turn 2. Now, can I cut any, like, 1 mountain? Like the Dissolve and the Sower of Temptation, the doubles here are what are really scaring me. Because if I run this, I'm not casting Soulfire Grandmaster on turn 2, and I'm probably not casting Geist of St. Traft on turn 3. At that point, I don't even need the plains. I think my red is so late that I'm going to try this and be a little greedy. And after the first round, we'll reevaluate this and decide if this is where we want to be. Like, surprisingly, the deck is mostly red, but I don't really need that much red. Actually, you know what? I've changed my mind. I'd rather cut an island. I'd rather cut an island. Because like the red, I do want to hit on curve. Dissolve and Sower of Temptation, I don't have to play on that turn. So this gives me 10 mountains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9 islands. And I think enough plains to make this possible, although not super likely. So we'll call this the deck. I think I like it. It's very different than what I normally play, but I think it can win games. And we'll see you for round 1 in just a moment.